On tonight's episode, with a dash of Mario Kart and a bit of Twisted Metal, we discuss episode 4 of The Bad Batch. We're also heading to Mandalore as we discuss the recent season 3 trailer drop of The Mandalorian. Is this the way? Plus, we add a segment to the show that we think General Grievous would highly approve of. So sit back and relax. This is the Force Dyad.
The Force is what gives the Jedi his power.
Why is the Force connecting us?
I am a Jedi.
Always two there are. We're a dyad in the Force.
Welcome, friends, to another episode of the Force Dyad podcast. This is episode 42. I'm your host, Obi Sean, joined, as always, by my podcasting better half, Jedi John. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. Excited for another episode of The Bad Batch to launch, and we get to review that. And Mando trailer just dropped on Monday night, so pretty excited stuff.
I know you're excited to partake in our new segment later and show off some of your new wares.
I am very excited about that. It was a great idea by us to incorporate that, seeing how much we purchase and get delivered to our houses.
I feel like half of our discussion center around, well, what new thing did you get this week? What new toy did you get? What new Lego did you get? What new comic did you get? So I think it'll be fun to, or maybe hopefully it'll be fun for the audience to share in that and share in our excitement.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited about what I have to show today. So,
well, I told you, it's going to be a secret, right? You wanted to show it to me before we started recording, and I was like, nope, I want to be surprised. So,
surprises are good.
Yeah, surprises are good, especially when it comes to toys. I know our wives enjoy getting the boxes on the front porch. Those surprises, always enjoy them.
That's my wife's favorite surprise, is when there's a box that gets delivered addressed to me from Hasbro. So it's her favorite surprise ever.
She doesn't even have to ask what's in the box. She already knows.
What's in the box? Oh, you know.
So yeah, we got episode 4 faster. We're going to talk about that. Fun. I think it was a fun episode, but we'll dive into that a little bit more. And then Mando season 3 and our new Fine Edition segment. So with that, let's just dive into episode 4 of The Bad Batch faster. Your initial thoughts after watching the episode this week?
We didn't get Fett, so I'm angry. Very, very angry.
Are you on the message board just sending in angry messages?
I am blowing it up. Why wasn't Fett in there? I don't understand why Boba Fett wasn't there. No, really, it was a fun episode, like you said. I mean, I know there are complaints out there for good reason. For some of those fans, I mean, in their minds, it should be geared towards what they want to see only. So, this is like a side quest episode, and I think I put it in the chat for us was, this is one of those episodes that my son is really going to enjoy one day when he just watches the show, and he's gonna fall in love with the racing aspect of it. So, yeah.
It's one of those episodes where when you go through the Bad Batch, you'd be like, okay, well, you can watch this one and this one and this one as you edit out all of the more violent installments. This entry is much more kid friendly. It's much more lighthearted compared to the episode we got last week. So I don't know that it requires much of a recap, right? It's a side quest, like you said, for Sid. There, she needs muscle, so she takes Wrecker and Tech because they just happen to be there. We get introduced to Riot Racing on Safatoma, which at first I thought we were going to Tatooine, but then I realized we probably will never go to Tatooine in this series. But I mean, it's the equivalent of pod racing, but as I said in the intro, with a mix of Mario Kart and Twisted Metal. So high octane, exciting, lots of gambling, as you might expect. So Sid's ringer driver is Teo, the droid, who is voiced by Ben Schwartz. And I swear, watching the episode, I could not place his voice, but he was awesome. I thought he was awesome. What did you think of?
No, he was great.
The droid?
I mean, he was, that typical droid that's very cocky. Reminded me a lot of the droid from Mandalorian, the pilot. Like, you're not as good as me. I'm the only one that can pilot this into when they were going for the prison break with the crew.
Oh yeah.
I wish I could remember his name off the top of my head.
Do you have a action figure of him? You probably do, don't you?
Yeah, Q90. He was Zero. They called him Zero in the show. That's right. That's right, Renyao. That's right, Renyao.
That's right.
I could grab him real quick. Anyway, but remind me of that cockiness. Like, the droid knows that he's better than any human pilot or humanoid pilot. So, because obviously Tech is brand new to the sport, trying to analyze everything, and the droid is like, "You're wrong. That's an amateur move." Like, it was very interesting watching those two go back and forth, because obviously the droid is very analytical, just like Tech, and Tech seeing strategies that the droid is like, "Well, that's dumb." So, interesting stuff.
It's an interesting kind of conversation on the state of AI, right? We live in a digital world, obviously, and the rise of AI, as far as how intelligent can AI become, and the discussion point is, well, humans program AI, right? Humans will build these droids, or human-like creatures will build these droids, so they'll never be quite as smart as the human will. And so it's that interesting little discussion point between the fact that a human can reason and can think in the moment versus an AI, which is programmed to think a specific way based on algorithms. And the race itself, Sid gets in hot water after Teo loses, and we get a new kind of villain or gangster, whatever, Maligi, and he is voiced. Again, similar to Teo, I could not place his voice until I looked it up on IMDb, and it's Ernie Hudson, who plays Winston in Ghostbusters. And so I love that they can get these types of actors to come in and even just play bit parts, because I think they bring so much to the show, right? Because they're familiar voices, but you can't quite place them. But they do a double or nothing bet, because Omega doesn't know what the heck she's doing. They get them in hot water.
She's the very, very much the, we owe Sid, so we need to help her. But this is not the first time they've had to help Sid out of hot water. So I'm not really sure why she keeps going to the, well, we should help Sid.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I'm wondering if that will play out over the next few episodes, or, over the next half of the season, whether there's something in her past, I as to her upbringing on Camino. Maybe there's something in that which causes her to have so much loyalty to the people that she comes in contact with. Because you're right, there's not a whole lot of reason to keep bailing Sid out, other than she's their meal ticket right now. And I think that's going to be one of the big drivers for the back half of the season, as far as them deciding what their future is going to be and separating from her.
Yeah, because it was almost like that he was implying that Sid maybe hasn't been quite fully honest with the Bad Batch about not just her past, but maybe what she's doing presently with their situation. We really don't know how much she's actually protecting them from outside forces, or if she's giving partial information to
they're on a
yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. They're on a need to know basis, and they don't need to know. I understand what you're saying. And so Teo's going to race. Well, no, sorry. he's busted up, right? They rebuild him, and then he gets totally taken out by a crashed race.
Yeah, that wasn't on purpose at all. I don't know how that happened in the pit.
Shouldn't have been standing there. So yeah, Tech jumps in the driver's seat, and we talked about it again earlier, but the way that Tech is so calculated. I mean, I realize it's part of his character, and that's the whole point of him as a person. But understanding the track layout, understanding how the craft works, the fact that he jettisons his weapons to gain top speed because he realizes that the way he's going to win is not through, destroying them, it's outsmarting them. And the commentary that Wrecker provides the entire race. I know we talked about it in our text group.
Oh, I love it. I loved it so much. It's just so funny. He's like, "What are you doing? You have to be in front to win."
It's called strategy.
It's called losing.
Oh my god, it's like it's so matter of fact from Wrecker because he doesn't understand it, right? He doesn't comprehend it, but
he knows if you're not in front, if you're not first, you're last in this situation. So,
well, see, Tech's big thing was he was carrying the blue shell, and he was always gonna launch it and knock out first place. The going down the side tunnel that doesn't have a floor, that kind of reminded me. It took me back to I think it was the Infected episode from season 1 when they were on the minecart. It kind of reminded me of like a minecart in the hive, with
like a rail with no complete track. Yeah,
right. And for him to use that as the shortcut. But overall, the episode, again, it was not meant. I don't think it was meant to be anything. And this is going to sound silly, but I don't think it was meant to be anything more than it was. Meaning, aside from some character development for Tech, I don't think that there's anything else that's really going to come out of this except for what was said in that last scene by Maligi about
Sid
and
trusting them.
The fun nature of this episode, I think, was, again, we talked about it before, was solely, I think, a break from last week, because last week's message and everything surrounding last week was really heavy and really dark, and this was the complete opposite. And it kind of showed the fun, despite being in some hot water, right? They were able to still have fun in a way and have Tech kind of get the recognition. I think he got that recognition for his skills that he said that they weren't getting at the beginning, right? Yeah. Just a salute.
Tip, nice little salute to all of his fans, all of his new fans. Tech, is that right? Just Tech.
He has no other name. The terrible Tech, the tumultuous Tech. I mean, they could have picked any like alliteration and it would have probably been funny. Too little Tech, too much Tech. I don't know. What do you think a good nickname for Tech would have been in this episode? Let's brainstorm real quick. In the middle of
I don't have it.
Come on, have some fun with
this. I've got nothing.
Fine.
The titillating Tech. You're welcome.
Titillating.
You asked for it. So
could be trickster Tech. I don't know. Those listening, let us know what
Tech.
The tricky Tech. There you go. Tricked out Tech.
You gotta do a little shuffle with the tricky Tech.
He could have been the Tech Mixer or the Techno Union or something.
That's an actual thing.
Well, yeah, you're right. I don't know. Those listening, let us know what you think would have been a fun nickname for Tech. Let's play along. So for going forward with the rest of the season, or let's look at that last scene real quick. And what do you think is going to come out of that as far as relates to Sid and the rest of the crew?
I think the biggest thing there is just, I mean, the team is really close together. So Hunter wasn't with them. So Hunter didn't hear that stuff to analyze what's going on. And Echo is very much a voice of reason, along with, because he's been through a lot. I mean, all of them have been through a lot, but Tech would analyze it and probably give the info to, Hunter. But Echo would probably be the guy that would be like, well, hold on here. Like, what do we think is really the issue here with her? So, I don't know. It's at some point during the season, we're going to get a division point, and Sid's going to make a choice. And being that this is an animated show, Sid's probably going to turn to the light, as we'll say, right? Like, and get the Bad Batch out of whatever situation she put them in to begin with. And it'll probably cost her everything she's got. But it's because that Omega's part of the team, and she was the one that stepped up for her again. So I think that's ultimately, like you said earlier, there's going to be a division of them. But I think it's going to be because Sid saves them after probably getting them in the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So
I would tend to agree with that, because I think that the Empire's coming to Ord Mantell, and it's going to slowly close in around them, especially since we talked about it last week. They're still going to be looking for Omega. They're going to want to capture Omega, and so they're going to have to escape at some point. And I think the last episode is Plan 99, right? Which I think when we talked about the episode names, it sounds like an escape plan. Like, how do they, what's the exit strategy? And after this episode, I think Sid will be playing a big role in that exit strategy. It's so much to the point where she may, I know you said lose it all, but she may really lose it all and sacrifice herself. Maybe not in so much as, dying, but being arrested or captured or something by the Empire in the effort to help them escape. And like you said, in the effort to help Omega and the group. I think that there's also going to be some maybe not questioning of leadership with Hunter, but I feel like there's going to be a clash at some point where Tech is going to push Hunter to realize that, as he says in the episode, that their skills are underutilized and that they should be used in a different way. And it kind of goes back to Echo's point about how they should be doing more. And I think that all will become related, and they will realize that they should be out there fighting for what will become the rebellion. And I think that I found a quote online actually today from Obi-Wan that says, "Skill is the child of patience." And, going back and looking at how Tech approached the challenge for the Riot Racing versus Teo, being kind of run and gun, where Tech took time. He took his patience, he was patient. I feel like that will apply to the group as a whole, in that, their patience with, in essence, putting up with Sid will drive them to use their skills for the better. As we go forward.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Overall grades. It was a short episode, so not a ton to look into compared to last week. Last week was super involved, heavy involved. So much lighter episode this week, so not as much to talk about. What kind of grade would you give it?
It did what it was supposed to do. Nice, fun episode. I think I called it a brain break in our text discussion earlier. I think that I would have to rate it like a 7.5. It was a fun episode. There wasn't any real danger. You knew Echo was going to win at the end of the day. I truly believed Tech was going to win the whole time. It was nothing in my mind was like, he's not going to win this race and they're going to lose Sid. Even though that was a possibility, it never crossed my mind that that's what was going to happen. So Yeah, 7.5. I enjoyed the Riot Race. I thought it was cool. It's a different take on a racing platform for Star Wars. Maybe I'll make a whole game out of it. Who knows? And then,
That was an amazing game, by the way. Did you play that growing up?
what?
The
What?
Pod
Pod
Racer?
racing? Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Pod Racer was great on the 64. I think I still have a copy of it. Maybe we can play it in a couple days here when we see
Fantastic
each other.
I played it on PC with a joystick. It was fantastic.
Oh, that'd be fun. But yeah, but just seeing that that type of show, and yeah, 7.5. No real stakes. You kind of knew what was going to happen, and then it was still fun to watch. And Teo was cool until they crashed again. So till he was out, till he's gone.
Like, it was destroyed for good. It's funny on Wikipedia. It has, it's got his little excerpt, his new entry, right, for his introduction, and it says destroyed, 19 BBY, and it says in parentheses twice. That's
hilarious.
that's his entry. Exactly. So yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. 7.5. I kind of enjoyed it. I think more for what it was. So I probably would have gone a little bit higher, maybe like a 7.7 or 7.8. Like you said, there wasn't a ton of peril or risk or anything like that. You're right. The likelihood of Tech losing that race was next to zero, next to nothing. So yeah, 7.7, 7.8 for me. So let's take a look at what IMDb's got.
If I had to guess, IMDb ranks it like 6.5 or something crazy. People hated this episode.
You are correct. Current IMDb rating, excuse me, with 825 ratings is 6.6.
Oh my gosh.
So that's definitely going to be one of the lower episodes. Shall we dive into the user reviews real quick?
Can we just skip to the one that says 6 Omega was in it? Like, I don't.
So it's funny you say that, because the guy with the same username from last week, right, said ironically, the Bad Batch not being in it makes it better, right? Well, this person is the first review, 5 out of 10. I said this last week, and I'll say it again here. The Bad Batch is the worst part of their own show.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm going to say this. I'm going to guess it's a he, because the username is Posey Fan. It doesn't matter. It's public knowledge, so it doesn't matter.
I'm going to say one thing here. We're talking about a cartoon TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Built for kids. Adults love it. Adults want to see it. Adults want the deeper, darker storylines that we want from this time period. Like, we still want that stuff. We got that in Andor. Nobody under the age of 15 is clamoring for more Andor.
True.
It's the older fans that want more Andor. It's the younger fans that want this animation and want these, like I said before, brain breaks. Like, they don't need everything all dark and murky and empire driven and how bad it all is right now for everyone around the galaxy. Like, that's what I want to see. But also I understand that, like, these things happen, and it's still built for kids. So we're going to see a lot of negative reviews here. I already know it, and that's fine.
So this particular review actually was 4.5 out of 10, but I guess they rounded up. Said the announcer dude was definitely the best part of the episode. But believe it or not, you and Posey Fan kind of are in the same boat, in that they say, I want grit, I want mature themes, I want empire. So, and that's why last week's episode was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I gave you a very similar review last week. The reason why I rated the episode so high, I got Rampart, I got Crosshair, I got them going through stuff. Like, yeah, that gets me going. I love seeing it. That's a side portion of this show. Like, that is very much a side portion of the show, not the main beat. So
exactly. So next one is a 6 out of 10, unsteady quality. What's going on with the season? 4 episodes in, we get 1 fantastic episode and 3 mediocre ones. Continuity is nowhere to be found.
Have they watched the Clone Wars? Did they watch that? Did they watch the Clone Wars?
You mean
Like,
how it just bounces around between different stories?
I mean, not even different stories, different timelines. Like
Yeah.
legitimately, the Clone Wars, the first few seasons, where you could bounce around every other episode. Like there were
Mm-hmm.
times that I turned on the next episode, I thought I fell asleep while Netflix was playing my Clone Wars, and I missed a whole season or something. And I went back and I'm like, no, I just watched that episode, but why? How did we get here?
Yep.
How did we do it? How did we get here? So,
That's why somebody had to go back and figure out the proper way to watch them so that they're actually in order.
yeah, it's not even a shotgun method. It's just this is what you have to do.
Let's see. Next one, 7 out of 10. Bottle episode, not in a bad way. I'm gonna assume bottle episode means like a filler
Single,
episode.
one off, one off.
Yep, there you go. Next one, 4 out of 10. Deja vu, but not in a good way. Said I feel like I was watching an episode of Star Wars Resistance. Although if Resistance looked this good, maybe I would like it more. They don't care for Teo's emotions and personality, so. Says nice that D. Bradley Baker got some relief and only had to voice two Bad Batch characters.
He did get relief this episode. That's very true. You know, he only probably had 40% of the lines this episode instead of 75. So very good.
Next one, 1 out of 10. Back to mission of the week. So they don't really care for that one.
Yeah, but that's just it. Like, imagine you're a 10-year-old right now. Like, those are the shows that you enjoyed watching. You know, you enjoyed watching Mission of the Week. That's all they gave you was Mission of the Week. Hey, did you watch Power Rangers when you grew up? I sure did. Guess what? Monster of the Week. Unless it was the Green Ranger arc. Thank you for 4 episodes. Like, I mean, that's just it. Like, we got Monsters of the Week when we grew up. I mean, this is again, I just go back to the fact that it's a kid's show. Like, it's animation. And it's not specifically said, nowhere does it say adult animation. Like,
Yeah,
it's not Rick and Morty. It's not like, it's not,
exactly.
It's just not.
It's not on Adult Swim.
Yeah, exactly. If it was on Adult Swim, I would expect some dark episodes revolving around how the Empire's affecting everyone with them. You could just name it though, Empire. I went the wrong way with my hand there on the camera. Empire.
That would be a cool spin-off show. And have that in the mature rating section in Disney Plus.
I mean, that section's coming, so yes, absolutely.
5 out of 10 is generous comparing this to last week's episode. They actually said overall the episode was a weak attempt at some sort of Tatooine Boon to Eve classic ripoff. It was pod racing without the cool parts. I'm like, I don't know about that. Like, I enjoyed the Mario Kart kind of feel to it. Like, it kind of felt like Star Wars Mario Kart.
Well, and it changes the strategy, you know? Like, you could be an offensive player. And that's okay to be an offensive player because, you know, they're going to win. You know, not every race, but they're going to win. Now, Tech found a different way to win, but Teo had won other races because of his offensive style. So you can't say he was necessarily wrong. So, I mean, Sid wouldn't keep betting on him if he didn't win races. So,
Yet, Tech would have made Luthen very proud in that he used the tools of his enemy to defeat them. Last one, this show has no clue what it's doing. And we'll close with that. Oh, man. So next episode is Entombed.
Go find a 12-year-old that watches this show and tell me that they don't know what they're doing.
What? I don't even know. Let's see what they say real quick. Scan this real quick. Last week's episode was one that will not be forgotten. It was a masterpiece. A masterpiece. And brought many mixed feelings to the audience. This episode was clearly a downgrade. They thought Teo was interesting. Frankly, the review actually isn't really that bad. Oh, sorry, I'm reading the wrong one. That explains why.
You skipped from a low rating to an 8.
Well, that was the 5 out of 10 is generous comparing this to last week's episode. Sorry. The show has no clue what it's doing. It says, I get that every episode can't be a great one, but every episode focused on the Bad Batch this season has been such a snooze fest. So, I mean,
I can't.
It says the worst part, they don't even really develop the relationship of the characters. I don't agree with that. I feel like they are focusing more on tech this year, and maybe they will focus more on Echo, which is great because we got so much of Hunter and Wrecker last season.
Well, that's what I worry about. That's what I worry
that
about.
We're gonna lose Wrecker and Hunter.
No. I think we're gonna lose Tech.
That would make me really sad because, as we've discussed, I identify with him the most.
Yeah, I think I could, but we're getting a lot. We're getting a lot of Tech. Yeah, it always makes me worry when we get a lot of character development, season 2 or 3 of a character that we didn't get a lot of yet, because I'm like, oh, this is where bad things are gonna happen. Just my experience, but I also don't know if they're going to kill off any of the main clones until the very end because, it's a kids show again. Like, they're not going to traumatize these children. So,
I mean, I don't know. We had plenty of cartoons growing up that felt the need to pull the rug out from under us. And
I mean, Goku died like 4 different times, but he always came back. So,
but anyway, so yeah, next week is Entombed. We'll see. We'll see if it picks up from there.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I mean, I knew we were going to get some bad reviews. I didn't know they were going to be that bad, but I did see some comments and I saw a couple videos just ripping it, and I'm just like, guys, come on. It's not geared for, again, I always go back to, this is not a show for, like, I'm watching it, but it's not a show for me. It's not supposed to be necessarily a show for me, but I'm super excited to watch it every day that it comes on. So I'm going to have episodes that I'm like, oh, that was fun, but it didn't play into the main storyline like I want it to. And that's okay. That's okay for me.
All right, so let's move on to our Mando Season 3 trailer discussion. So we all got to view it during halftime. If you chose to watch it during halftime of the Cowboys-Buccaneers game, or you literally just waited until after it dropped and then hit YouTube so that you didn't have to watch that stinker of a football game. Although missing 4 extra points was quite funny. Poor Maher. I wonder if he got fired yet. But a new 1.5-minute spot with, a decent amount of new footage. We've seen a good bit of it already. Like Mando with the the additional covert of Mandalorians. I think we get a new shot of Mandalore. I think the one we got before was from the N1 Starfighter, so get a new shot of Mandalore. For you, what were your high points? What new footage did you enjoy seeing most?
Well, love seeing that he can still go back to the armor and still talk stuff out, basically was shunned, so it's very cordial of them to let Mando back in anywhere near them. So, yeah, I think part of it for me is just getting excited about being able to watch and we've seen the Mandalorians already in the trailers get into battle, like we've seen them drop out and go, but that just gets me so excited. And we see Paz Vizsla again, like with his like bring it out. So I'm just really excited to see who they are actually fighting, because unclear of who they'd be fighting currently, but also just super excited to see a bunch of Mandalorians live action going to battle. We've seen it in animation, we've seen a lot of other times, but I want to see live action Mandos, and those aren't the only ones we're going to see. Like, the ones we've seen in the trailers are not the only ones we're going to see. So
yeah, I mean, the high points for myself, I would say probably getting to see the Gauntlet chased by the TIE Interceptors in live action is going to look awesome. And yeah, I enjoyed them jetpacking out of the dropship and getting the little Babu Frick guys in the window. Hey, and you get Salacious Crumb, or the Salacious Crumb like creature on Grief's planet, which he's now some sort of governor on a different planet, right? Because
No, he took
wasn't
over
he
the
the
original.
marshal? Right, he was the marshal in a different
No,
location.
I mean,
That looked totally different, didn't it?
well, I think he's building it up, but it should. I can't imagine him moving planets for any reason.
Like nothing about that scene where they walked in uh, looked like the desert planet that he visited. Like because that was on Navarro, that didn't look like Navarro. Um,
I'll agree with that, but
I'm confused. Uh,
we'll see if he's still in Navarro. We'll see. We'll see if he's still there because he was in charge last time we left him of Navarro.
exactly. So I'm wondering if something happened where he got the boot and he had to move somewhere else, or
Now he's a magistrate.
uh, he he did look fancy. You know, whatever his new role is, he's upped his thread game. You know, he's looking pretty dapper. So, and then one of the things I'm curious if they're even going to address it at all, which they certainly don't have to. But what happens to Cardoon if they feel the need to address that in the show at all, or does her character just disappear and there's really no explanation for it? I mean, personally, I don't really care, but I know that's one of the
There are a lot of people that do care. So
talking points about it. And you know, what are they going to do with her character? Are they going to write her off? Did she go off and die fighting something or whatever? But uh, yeah, I mean, do you care if that gets resolved, or is if it
it'd
gets
be
swept
nice to
away,
see.
it doesn't matter?
I mean, she was one of his partners. Like she was in his inner circle. So it's kind of weird that you would have an inner circle character just get written off with nothing. But you know, it happens in TV shows all the time. Where I mean, for way less of reasons other than like very publicly getting fired from something. You know, like other TV shows previously just write off characters because stuff happens internally and they just decide that they're moving on from that character with no real public announcement. This was just very public, so people want to know how they're going to fix it. But I think, yeah, I mean, one of the things that I'm curious about how they're running it is I forget the character's name, but the X-wing pilot that came back as the Republic officer, and obviously I would guess he was talking to Mando in that scene. I don't think they flashed to Mando, but I think he was talking to Mando and talking about something's coming and you're not gonna know it till it's too late, kind of thing. Does he already know about First Order? Does he like what does he know? Like what's he talking about? Like I just don't know. I don't understand what the
It
Republic's
could be
fearing.
Thrawn.
It could be Thrawn. That's
Like it could be the old.
that's legit.
It could be the Imperial remnant that Thrawn is, helping out, who will eventually become the First Order.
Yeah,
And
that's very true.
that would be. I mean, if we got Thrawn and Mando, I know we're getting it probably. Well, who knows if we see Thrawn and Ahsoka? I know she's hunting him down, right? But we don't know when that's supposed to take place. If that's supposed to take place in the same timeline as Mando, or if that's back during the Rebels time frame.
Oh, I
Have we
imagine
gotten
it.
any insight into that yet?
Not that I know of. I would imagine it's going to be. I wouldn't doubt that it jumps around a little bit for timeline purposes, just because it would make sense to do that in that show specifically.
Right. Yeah, that's true, especially if you do like flashbacks and that sort of stuff. Um, so the other thing, the big thing we get at the end of the trailer is Grogu rolling out like Professor X after he's just, hucked this creature out of the cave.
So you
I'm
love
wondering,
that part.
I, yeah, I've already aired my grievances about Grogu back in our Festivus episode. I'm not gonna do it here, but it was funny because every time he was on screen, Kara would awe at it, and I would just glare at her because I feel, well, I don't know if I feel bad for the people, but I can sympathize with the people who maybe didn't tune into Book of Boba Fett, right? Who have no clue why Mando has a new starfighter and or why he has that particular
Well,
starfighter.
how he
I
got
should
it.
say.
Yeah, how he got it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then why the heck Grogu is sitting on his lap in the first scene.
You think
Like,
you think there's a recap episode that's gonna last time on the Book of Boba Fett?
Is he gonna say skip intro and everyone's gonna be like watching the 10-minute intro because it's gonna recap everything?
Last time on Mando season 2.5.
Oh my goodness! You get the Clone Wars announcer coming in.
Yeah.
In the Book of Boba Fett.
Mando gets an N1 starfighter and retrieves Grogu from Luke Skywalker.
I'll be interested to see how much his Grogu is allowed to utilize the Force, because he gets a little taste of it with his training with Luke, but I can't imagine he's with Luke very long. The other thing we didn't talk about was the flashback for Order 66. Everyone's trying to contemplate, who's busting through the door. And again, if people didn't see Book of Boba Fett, I personally think it's just going to be an extended version of the scene we got where the 501st Troopers have busted through the door. I don't think we're going to get Anakin because, I mean, if we're being honest with ourselves, if Anakin had walked into that room, I don't think Grogu's getting out.
No one's getting out. No. I would say that because there's been a lot of rumors about Hayden Christensen doing some work again. I think that's going to be some of the Ahsoka show for flashbacks. Like, I think they're going to do some stuff with that. I don't think we're going to get Vader. So
I don't think. Well, I mean, you could get Vader as like a callback for what was not Twin Sons. What was the name of the Rebels episode where they fought? It was.
Oh, I'm not gonna be able to tell you the episode name.
Oh man. Okay. Well, now I feel terrible. But anyways, it could be quick flashbacks there where they're fighting on. I think that was Was that Malachor? I
think, yeah. When Maul's trying to lead Ezra to do everything, and then Maul turns him.
Yeah, and
then
Ahsoka. Yeah, and then Ahsoka fights Vader right?
at the top. So,
yep. So yeah, that was on Malachor. So I could see that, something like that, if we got a Vader interaction. But as far as Mando is concerned, I don't think we're going to get Anakin in that same, because again, I don't know how Grogu would get saved at that point. I've seen some rumors, people throwing around the idea, oh, well, was it the Grand Inquisitor? Was it, or, well, the person who would become the Grand Inquisitor? Was it Jocasta Nu? I don't know that it's anybody we know. I would be perfectly fine having it be somebody we don't, just somebody random, because where he ends up, if it was a Jedi who retrieves him, how was he lost, right? And how did he end up with that group of bounty hunters, or not bounty hunters, pirates in, episode 1 of Mando? So
it's Wanda's character. Wanda's character comes back from Bad Batch and delivers Grogu.
It is I, Hondo.
That's how we get Wanda back. It's this.
Hondo
Wanda's
always
coming
delivers.
live. Wanda's gonna come live action next season in Mando. Just wait. As a pirate.
So did the new trailer hype you any more than you were already hyped for Mando, or did it like lower your hype level, or
no? I think it's pretty. I think it's pretty steady. I mean, I got more excited to see some of the battle, like some of the fighting, and like knowing that we're gonna get a big battle. Which, why wouldn't we get a big battle? The only thing that we were missing in this trailer, I didn't see Bo-Katan at all, so that was a little different, because we've had her in every other trailer. But maybe that's why we didn't get her, was because why show anything else? Because we already know that she's there. So
yeah, I thought the trailer overall was good. It was fun. Yeah, the hype is real. March can't get here soon enough. I've always enjoyed the Mandalorian. if I give even if I give Grogu some guff from time to time, I do still enjoy the show. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. We
and
talked about it
I
before.
almost
Yeah,
forgot. R5 joins the team. R5 joins the team.
I forgot about that.
Excited to see that. That's just a cool callback. But yeah, I mean, he needed a droid to navigate the galaxy. I get that. Like, he needs a navigator. So I'm not
Well, and
surprised that eventually happened.
they modified the ship to have Grogu's bubble go away, so that now the droid can go back to where it's supposed to go. Because Grogu's not going to not sit on Mando's lap the whole time.
I mean, of course. Where else would you sit a pet in your car?
What do you see? Let's just do some long range predictions here before we go into our Find Edition segment.
Oh,
what do you see the end game for season 3 being? This is, again, way out there hypothesis.
Wow. Way out there hypothesis. We catch up to Moff Gideon getting broken out of wherever he's at in the New Republic system. But the overarching arc of the entire season is probably Mando reclaiming rule on Mandalore, which is where you see some of the fighting probably happen. I hope we get Mando on Mando combat. I do. I think we will, because there's probably a faction that is 100% against him taking it. And we'll see what happens. And I think one of the things that happens is Bo-Katan it's not intentional evil, but she will be part of the bad, like the bad faction compared to Mando in this season. For a while, at least. I don't know. That's my thing. I think we're going to get Mando on Mando because we're going to have an internal, like, civil war of people that support Mando because he does have the Darksaber, and some Mandos will flock to that, and then the other Mandos would be like, Bo-Katan is the rightful. I think that's what we're gonna get.
Mm-hmm. And you're gonna get the Mando versus Bo-Katan fight
at some point,
and one of them's gonna have to lose in combat.
But Mando, if Mando's winning, he'll spare her.
Is that the Mandalorian way? Or is that just the Death Watch way? Was to just dismiss of your opponent?
I'm not sure. I'd have to do some research there. But in my head, it's not just technically, Mando disarmed Moff Gideon, didn't off him.
True.
And Bo-Katan recognized that you won it in combat. So I guess you don't have to kill your. But Maul definitely did. Maul killed everybody. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, he wasn't exactly going to let Pre Vizsla hang around after beating him in combat. So.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I actually, I can get behind that prediction. Oh, I mean, overall, I think Mando. For some reason, I feel like this is the end of Mando's story, and the continuation of Grogu's story. Meaning, I think we're gonna get to the end of season 3, and Mando will be. I don't know if he'll be at home or if he'll be at peace with his situation, and Grogu will become the Mandalorian.
Ooh, that's interesting.
And he'll be a Jedi, a Jedi Mandalorian like Tar Vizsla, right? He won't obviously be Tar Vizsla, but he would. They're both foundling man. Effective. What does he say at the beginning of the trailer? There's more to being a Mandalorian than fighting, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I could totally see them ending Mando's journey on Mandalore and then having Grogu take up the baton, have him outfitted in his cool little own Mando armor. And
or ears,
like a combination
ear holes, or
yeah, exactly. Have his own helmet, his own visor, but then have maybe a Jedi look or feel to him as well. So I could see them throwing maybe a curveball like that and having that be the continuation of the story, because we know there's a season 4. I believe that's already been confirmed. So, that would be an interesting twist if they chose to do that. So, anything else with the Mando trailer you want to talk about?
No, I'm good. Just excited to get to March.
Yes. March will be good. We get Mando, and we
6
get
short weeks.
We get the conclusion of we get the conclusion of Bad Batch, and we're gonna get Jedi Survivor all in the same month. So it's gonna be epic. So with that, we're going to transition into our new segment, which is
The fine addition to my collection.
So this was your brainchild. This was drummed up at bowling the other night, and we both thought it was a fun idea. So I'm going to let you talk about and or show off, because this will be video and audio, your new addition to your collection.
So just delivered yesterday. I did get the Clone Wars Darth Maul figure for the 6-inch Black Series. So he's got the metal legs. Ooh. It looks good. Like, the figure itself looks really good. Really, really excited. Yeah, really, really excited to have this figure in the collection. I've been waiting for them to do a metal leg Darth Maul. I hope one day we get like a deluxe spider leg Darth Maul. I understand if we don't, because that would be more than just a deluxe figure, I feel like. But regardless, this is a really, really cool figure. Very, very excited to have it delivered the other day. And yeah, just I've been waiting for this figure for a long time. And so for it to finally come, I pre-ordered it months ago, so it's been months of waiting on top of years of waiting, because as soon as they released the initial Clone Wars series for the Galaxy figures with the artwork on the side and everything, it was originally the Walmart exclusives like Ahsoka, the 32nd Trooper, the Mandalorian, the Mandalorian Loyalist figure. All those came out with Walmart. So finally getting Darth Maul added to the crew there. Just a huge figure for them to make finally. So super excited. And I know a lot of other people love this figure also. This whole wave actually was pretty sweet.
Was he an exclusive for a store, or like Walmart
he was not.
or something?
Nope, he's just a common pack figure for this wave of Galaxy figs. I think the other one that was in the same wave was the Ayla Secura figure. We don't have any other Twi'lek. I'm gonna say we don't have any other Twi'leks, but we might have a Twi'lek somewhere laying around. But I honestly don't think we do. So very, very excited to have her in the collection also when she arrives. I don't have her yet, but that was the other really cool figure in this the wave of figures that's coming out right now.
So will there be any more additions to the Clone Wars line, beyond Maul, or is Ayla in that Clone Wars line?
They're separate. So Darth Maul was in the Clone Wars animated show.
Right.
Ayla was in the Clone Wars movie line, which I actually believe is the first figure for that line on the Galaxy stuff.
For the animated movie, or
for the live action, like episode 2, the Clone Wars.
Yeah, got it. Oh, Attack of the Clones, got it.
Attack of the Clones. I'm sorry, I always say Clone Wars, but it's Attack of the Clones.
Because there was Clone Wars. There was the animated Clone Wars movie, which I know there's a big battle on Felucia, so that would make sense if it was from that.
Yeah, this one was from Attack of the Clones, which, like I said, is the first figure for that line. Which is it's weird. It's what they're doing with the Galaxy figures right now, and the Galaxy line in whole is just kind of. I get that they have to bounce around between movies, but this will be the first prequel movie that they've done a figure for. So
It's an interesting choice.
Yeah, at least I think they did that. Now I need to go look. I need to go up and look at the box now. So, if I'm wrong, guys, sorry, but I'm pretty sure it's for the movie Attack of the Clones, and it is the first prequel figure made, as far as I know. Everything else has been OG or sequel or animation, because we have the whole Rebels line, we have the Bad Batch, and we have Rebels.
Did they ever make any figs for Resistance or no?
No.
For the anime? No, I didn't think so.
Nobody that has $25 to spend on a figure wants the Resistance figures made. So I'm sorry for those Resistance fans out there. There are few of you, so, and many of everybody else. Sorry.
And anything else for your collection editions tonight?
No, I'll keep it light tonight because I
Okay.
can add some other stuff other weeks when maybe I don't have a random pre-order hitting my credit card that week. So
That's fair. I mean, that's kind of what I'm doing this week. I did get this about a week ago, but it's my new TIE Bomber. Let's see how this. Oh, there it is. My new TIE Bomber Lego set. It was January 1st, so New Year's Day release. Comes with four minifigures: Vice Admiral Sloan, Vader, TIE Bomber pilot, and Gonk. We get a Gonk droid. So 625 pieces. So a nice update to the existing TIE Bomber kind of line. There's been, I believe, 2 prior incarnations of it. I think one was kind of like a UCS before UCS was a thing. And then I believe there was another smaller kind of piece set similar to this. So I will be doing a time-lapse build of this probably this weekend. So yeah, so I'm really looking forward to building that. The other quick things for my collection are my comics, which I've talked a bit about on the show before, as far as my foray into my journey among Star Wars comics. And one comic I was really, I guess, disappointed that I was late to the game in was the Vader comics, because they are amazing. I actually binged the 6 issues that I have. I had 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Oh, that's 7 issues because I can count. And the cool thing about that particular storyline is it involves Sabe, or Sabe, who was Padme's handmaiden. And I know that there's a storyline prior to when I picked it up where the handmaidens basically confront Vader on Naboo when he's visiting Padme's tomb, because he still has obviously emotions and feelings around that. But this arc, or the ongoing story with Sabe and the handmaidens, is now she's been brought into the fold with Vader kind of as his commander, like or not his commander, but a commander for him, kind of doing his bidding. And the remaining handmaidens are trying to, they think she's undercover, and in reality she's not. And the end of issue 30 sees all 4 of the handmaidens walking behind Vader as kind of like his new acolytes, for lack of a better word, going to do his bidding. So the story arc has been awesome. A couple other ones. I've got the first 2 issues of Star Wars: The High Republic Adventure, which is more of a kind of an easy read. There we go. It's more of a youth read, I would say, which is good because half the time I end up reading my comics, Connor's like, "Hey, Dad, what is that?" And I can't tell him that it's highly violent, cell shaded stuff.
The adventure comics are really good. Who writes the High Republic version of them, of Adventure Comics?
So this is Daniel Jose Older does the High Republic Adventures.
So the Clone Wars Adventures came out last year. Obviously also geared towards kids. And the writer I know could not touch Ahsoka or any of the main clones, basically. So he it's written from a clone's point of view, but it's not any clone you know. But it's, I mean, definitely geared towards kids, or well, teen readers at the oldest, and then but yeah, very, very good stuff.
Yeah, and then the last one I have is issue 4 of the High Republic. So it was a big new comic book day for me yesterday, New Comic Book Wednesday. The new High Republic story line, going back to the kind of the Pathfinder period that we're in right now. It's certainly not as fighting heavy the way that Phase 1 was with the Drengir and stuff like that. So you're not bouncing between like Avar and Elzar and all the Jedi fighting at different points throughout the galaxy. Nihil and Drengir. It's a little bit more subdued. There's still stuff going on, but it's not as intense as Phase 1 was. So those are my additions to my collection this week.
Fine additions they'll make.
Indeed. So I'm going to bring the show to the close. I want to thank you again for joining us. If you enjoyed the show, please do consider following or subscribing. Leave us a like, review, etc. For more ways to connect, be sure to check out the show notes or the description for links to our social pages, and as well as links to our podcasting buds over on the Galactic Dads podcast.
Who just dropped an episode.
Yes, they did. They're talking about Rings of Power, and there's some toy talk and a couple other fun odds and ends. They break down AC Valhalla. I know Justin finally gets to dive in head first into his breakdowns.
We had a lot of fun on that recording. It's a little dated, but that's okay. Still good content over there.
So be sure to check them out at Galactic Dads on all the podcasting platforms. So with that, we're going to jump to hyperspace. So for Jedi John, I'm Obi Sean, and until next time,
may the Force be with you.
Force.